High Soul Igniting Story family, get ready, because today we're bringing you a tender, soul-stirring tale that's sure to make your heart skip a beat. Let's begin. The grand Cedar Grove Chapel buzzed with excitement as sunlight streamed through stained glass windows, illuminating the faces of 200 guests who had gathered to witness the union of Olivia Harper and Daniel Reed. The air was sweet with the scent of lilies and roses that adorned every pew and archway. "You look beautiful," whispered Olivia's mother as she adjusted her daughter's veil one last time before taking her seat. Olivia stood tall in her ivory gown, a vision of elegance and grace. Her heart fluttered with anticipation as the music swelled and the wide oak doors opened. This was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, the culmination of a 4-year romance with a man she thought was her forever. The walk down the aisle felt dreamlike. Faces smiled at her from both sides, some familiar, some less so. Daniel waited at the altar, his eyes bright with unshed tears of joy. Everything was perfect, until it wasn't. As Olivia reached the halfway point, her gaze drifted across the sea of faces, and suddenly locked with a pair of familiar eyes. There, seated inconspicuously in the third row, was Theodore Langston, her boss. The bouquet in her hand stilled. Her steps faltered. Why was Theo here? She had never invited him. How did he even know about the wedding? Within seconds, the color drained from Olivia's face. Memories she had buried years ago surged forward, threatening to drown her in their intensity. Her breath caught in her throat as realization dawned. Without warning, Olivia turned and fled, her wedding dress billowing behind her as she pushed through the chapel doors, leaving stunned silence in her wake. What secret could be so devastating that it would make a bride abandon her own wedding? What hidden truth lay between Olivia and her unexpected guest that could shatter her perfect day? Before we continue this shocking story, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Our channel brings you the most compelling real-life relationship stories with lessons that might just change how you see your own relationships. Like this video, if you've ever had a moment where your past and present collided in ways you never expected. Now, let's discover what happened when Olivia's carefully constructed world came crashing down. Cedar Grove wasn't just a dot on the Midwest map. It was a community where neighbors knew each other by name and local businesses thrived on handshakes and trust. In this close-knit town, Olivia Harper had always stood out, though not because she sought attention. Born to middle-class parents, her father a high school physics teacher and her mother a local librarian, Olivia inherited both her father's analytical mind and her mother's deep empathy. Growing up, she was a student who organized fundraisers for the animal shelter while maintaining perfect grades. Her classmates voted her most likely to change the world in the yearbook, a prediction she took seriously. After graduating with honors from the State University with a degree in business administration, Olivia returned to Cedar Grove with dreams bigger than the town's boundaries but a heart firmly rooted in its soil. She bought a small cottage on Maple Street, renovating herself on weekends, turning the once-neglected structure into a home filled with books, plants, and warmth. "I want to build something meaningful," she often told her friends over coffee at May's Diner, the local gathering spot with a pancake for Legendary and the gossip fresh. "I want my work to matter." That ambition led her to Brightwave Solutions, a mid-sized tech company that had chosen Cedar Grove for its headquarters due to tax incentives and quality of life. Starting in customer relations, Olivia quickly rose through the ranks. By 28, she was managing complex projects and leading a team of 12 people. Her colleagues describe her leadership style as firm but fair. She pushed for excellence, but never at the expense of work-life balance. The Christmas bonuses her team received were often accompanied by handwritten notes of appreciation, small gestures that earned her fierce loyalty. It was at a community fundraiser that Olivia first met Daniel Reed. He stood by a display of his architectural designs for a proposed community center, passionately explaining his vision to anyone who would listen. Olivia, intrigued by his enthusiasm, asked detailed questions about the sustainability features. Most people asked about how it will look. Daniel had said, his eyes brightening, "You're the first to ask about how it will function 50 years from now." Their first date was simple, a hike through Willow Creek Park followed by homemade sandwiches on a blanket overlooking the lake. Daniel brought architectural sketches of his dreams. Olivia brought her favorite poetry book. They talked until sunset turned to starlight. Over the next 4 years, their relationship grew with the natural rhythm of seasons. They complemented each other perfectly. Daniel's creative vision balanced by Olivia's practical approach. They disagreed sometimes, but never went to bed angry. Their friends joked that they were disgustingly functional as a couple. Daniel proposed during the town's winter festival. As they stood watching ice sculptures glitter under string lights, he knelt in the snow and offered a ring that had belonged to his grandmother, a simple diamond that caught the light in a way that seemed to hold all possible futures. Yes, Olivia had whispered, tears freezing on her cheeks. 1,000 times yes. While her personal life flourished, Olivia's career continued its upward trajectory. Her latest project at Brightwave, developing software for hospitals to track patient outcomes, was her most challenging yet, requiring 18-hour days and weekends spent hunched over her laptop. It was during this project that Theodore Langston took notice of her work. As CEO of Brightwave, Theo rarely engaged directly with mid-level managers, preferring to communicate through a chain of command. His sudden interest in Olivia's project raised eyebrows throughout the company. "He's monitoring your progress personally," her colleague Marcus had warned over lunch in the company cafeteria. Nobody gets that kind of attention unless they're about to be promoted or fired. Theodore Langston had built Brightwave from a garage startup to a regional powerhouse. At 45, his reputation preceded him. Brilliant but demanding, generous with rewards but unforgiving of mistakes. Despite heading a company of over 300 employees, Theo remained an enigma. He attended no office parties, shared no personal anecdotes, displayed no family photos on his immaculate desk. Employees whispered theories about his private life, but Theo maintained firm boundaries. All anyone knew for certain was that he lived in a modernist house on the outskirts of town, drove a modest sedan despite his wealth, and worked hours that made even the most dedicated employees seem lazy by comparison. What no one in Cedar Grove knew, not Daniel, not her parents, not her closest friends, was that Olivia and Theo shared a history, one buried beneath years of careful silence and professional distance. A history that was about to surface in the most dramatic way possible. Dawn broke over Cedar Grove with perfect timing, painting the sky in gentle pinks and golds, as if the heavens themselves approved of the union about to take place. Olivia woke early, her stomach fluttering with a mixture of excitement and nerves. Today was finally here, her wedding day. The bridal suite at the historic Grove Hotel buzzed with activity. Her 3 bridesmaids arrived bearing coffee and breakfast pastries, though Olivia could barely eat. Her mother fussed with the veil, while her future mother-in-law dabbed away tears every few minutes. "Stop crying, Margaret." Olivia's mother laughed, passing another tissue. "You'll have us all ruined before we even get to the church." The makeup artist worked her magic, transforming Olivia's nervous pallor into a radiant glow. When the hairstylist secured the final pin in her elegant updo, Olivia stood to slip into her dress, an ivory A-line with delicate lace that had required 6 fittings to achieve perfection. "You're the most beautiful bride I've ever seen," whispered her maid of honor, Casey, who had been by her side since 3rd grade. The photographer captured every moment. Olivia's father seeing her in the dress for the first time, the bridesmaids fastening their matching pearl necklaces, the bouquets of white roses, and baby's breath being distributed. Meanwhile, at Cedar Grove Chapel, Daniel waited nervously, adjusting his bow tie for the dozenth time. The historic stone building had stood for over a century, witnessing generations of local couples beginning their lives together. Today, its stained glass windows gleamed, and fresh flowers adorned every pew end. Guests began arriving an hour before the ceremony. Families in their Sunday best filed in, signing the guest book and exclaiming over the elegant decorations. Daniel's large extended family claimed several rows on the right. Olivia's smaller family balanced the left side, along with colleagues from Brightwave Solutions and friends from throughout town. The chapel filled quickly. Local business owners who had watched Olivia grow up sat shoulder to shoulder with college friends who had traveled across states to attend. Even Mayor Wilson made an appearance, his presence underscoring the Harper Reid wedding as one of the social events of the year. No one noticed a late arrival, who slipped into a seat in the 3rd row, left side. At precisely 2 o'clock, The organist began playing. The bridesmaids processed down the aisle one by one, each drawing admiring glances. Then the music shifted to the traditional wedding march, and everyone rose. Olivia appeared in the doorway, on her father's arm. Her dress caught the light streaming through the windows, creating an almost ethereal effect. Her face, partially veiled, shone with happiness as she took in the scene before her. The flowers, the guests, and Daniel waiting at the altar with a look of pure adoration. The first 20 steps down the aisle felt magical. Olivia caught the eye of her childhood teacher, her first boss at the local bookstore, her running partner. Each familiar face represented a chapter of her life, all gathered to witness this new beginning. Then, as she neared the halfway point, her gaze fell upon a face that didn't belong, a face she knew intimately from boardroom meetings and late-night project sessions, a face she knew from somewhere else entirely. Theodore Langston. Olivia's steps faltered almost imperceptibly. Her fingers tightened around her bouquet, knuckles whitening against the green stems. The music continued, but for her, time seemed to stop. Why was he here? Who had invited him? In that split second, memories rushed forward, memories she had locked away years ago. Her mind raced, calculating possibilities, implications, consequences. Her father gently nudged her forward, misinterpreting her hesitation as bridal nerves. Somehow her feet moved. Somehow she made it to the altar. Somehow she managed to smile at Daniel as he took her hands in his. But her mind remained fixed on the man in the third row and the secret they shared. What would you do if you were Olivia? Would you continue with the ceremony, pretending nothing was wrong? Would you find a way to speak privately with Theo first? Or would you do what Olivia eventually did? Run? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this suspenseful story, hit that like button and subscribe to catch more real-life relationship dramas that will have you questioning what you would do in someone else's shoes. 6 years before the wedding that wasn't, Olivia Harper had been a different person. Fresh out of college with student loans and ambition in equal measure, she had taken her first corporate job at Meridian Tech in Hartford, nearly 200 miles from Cedar Grove. The position promised growth, challenge, and the kind of experience that could launch a career. What it hadn't mentioned in the job description was Theodore Langston, then 39. Theo was Meridian's rising star, a department head with a reputation for turning failing projects into gold. When Olivia was assigned his team, she felt equal parts intimidated and inspired. He demanded excellence, but offered mentorship rarely seen in corporate America. "Your perspective is unique," he had told her after she challenged his approach during her second week. Where others might have been offended, Theo seemed intrigued. Never apologize for seeing what others miss. Their professional relationship evolved quickly. Late nights reviewing proposals turned into working dinners. Strategic discussions extended into philosophical conversations about life, purpose, and dreams. Theo listened when she spoke, truly listened, in a way no one ever had before. 3 months into her employment, Olivia found herself working alone with Theo on a Saturday, preparing for a major client presentation. Rain hammered against the office windows as thunder rumbled in the distance. "We should stop for the night," Theo had suggested, rubbing his eyes. "Just one more section," Olivia insisted, determined to perfect the proposal. When she finally looked up from her computer, Theo was watching her with an intensity that made her heart race. The air between them changed in that moment, charged with something neither had acknowledged until then. "This is a bad idea," he whispered, even as he moved closer. "The worst," she agreed, stepping forward to meet him. Their first kiss held the inevitability of gravity. What followed was a relationship conducted in shadows, passionate, intense, and weighted with complications neither wanted to fully face. For 4 months, they existed in a bubble of stolen moments. Weekend getaways to remote locations, late nights in his corporate apartment, morning coffee in obscure cafes where no one from Meridian would venture. They discussed books, debated politics, and planned imaginary trips to places neither had visited. "I'm falling in love with you," Olivia confessed one evening as they watched the sunset from a hotel balcony in Vermont. Theo's hesitation lasted only seconds, but it was enough. "There's something I need to tell you," he said finally, his voice hollow. The revelation came without drama, but hit with the force of a physical blow. Theo was married. Had been for 12 years to a woman named Claire. It's complicated, he explained. Words that seemed pathetically inadequate even as he spoke them. We've been separated for almost a year, living apart. The marriage exists on paper only, but it existed nonetheless. Why didn't you tell me? Olivia asked, her voice steady despite the earthquake inside her. At first, it didn't seem relevant. We were just colleagues. Then, when things changed between us, I was afraid of losing you. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. That night, Olivia lay awake, examining her choices. She had become something she'd always despised. The other woman, the secret, the reason for lies. No matter Theo's assurances about his failed marriage, she now occupied murky moral territory. By morning, her decision was made. I won't be part of this anymore, she told him over an untouched breakfast. I deserve better than fragments of someone else's life. Theo argued, pleaded, and promised to file for divorce immediately. But trust, once fractured, proved difficult to repair. 2 weeks later, Olivia resigned from Meridian Tech, packed her apartment, and returned to Cedar Grove, determined to rebuild her life on cleaner foundations. What she didn't know, couldn't have known, was that she carried more than memories with her when she left Hartford. 3 weeks after her departure, Olivia experienced what she believed was a particularly difficult menstrual cycle. The pain was intense, the bleeding heavy. She took over-the-counter medication and pushed through, never suspecting she was experiencing a miscarriage in her first trimester. But there was more to the story, a truth hidden from Olivia until the moment she spotted Theo among her wedding guests. Unknown to her, Olivia had been pregnant with twins. While one pregnancy ended in that painful week, the other continued. Feeling ill but attributing it to stress, Olivia had visited a doctor who diagnosed anemia. The surviving fetus remained undetected until Olivia fainted at a job interview 2 months later. The shock of discovering her pregnancy, then 5 months along, was overwhelming. Single, unemployed, and still healing from Theo's deception, Olivia faced an impossible choice. After days of soul-searching, she decided to place the baby for adoption. Wanted her child to have the stability she couldn't provide. The adoption was arranged through a private agency. The birth was difficult but uncomplicated. Olivia requested no information about the adoptive parents, believing a clean break would be best for everyone. She held her daughter only once before signing the papers, memorizing the tiny face she never expected to see again. Theo, meanwhile, had tried repeatedly to contact Olivia after her resignation. His calls went unanswered, his emails unread. When the divorce papers from Claire arrived, prompted by her discovery of his affair, Theo felt his life collapsing around him. Then came the notification from the adoption agency. Claire, in a twist of fate that defied probability, had been unable to conceive throughout their marriage. After separating from Theo, she had applied to adopt as a single parent. The agency, unaware of the connection, had placed Olivia's baby with Claire. When Theo discovered his ex-wife had adopted his biological child with Olivia, he was faced with an impossible situation. Claire had legal rights as the adoptive mother. Revealing the truth would upend multiple lives. After consulting with lawyers, Theo made the difficult decision to remain in his daughter's life as Uncle Theo, visiting regularly but maintaining the fiction that he was simply supporting his ex-wife. For 5 years, he watched Lily grow, seeing echoes of Olivia in her smile and stubborn determination. When Brightwave Solutions acquired the struggling tech startup in Cedar Grove, Theo engineered his relocation, drawn by the possibility of proximity to Olivia. Finding her working at the company was unexpected serendipity or cosmic irony. For a year, he maintained professional distance, watching from afar as Olivia built her career, never finding the courage to reveal the truth. When the wedding invitation arrived, sent by Olivia's administrative assistant to all department heads as a courtesy, Theo recognized it as his last opportunity to right a wrong that had shaped 5 lives. Have you ever discovered a secret that changed everything you thought you knew about your life? Or have you been a keeper of information that could alter someone else's reality? Share your experiences in the comment below. How do we decide when truth matters more than peace? When is it right to disrupt someone's happiness with facts they never asked to learn? Hit that like button if you've ever found yourself at such a crossroads, and subscribe for more stories that explore the complex choices we face in relationships. The moment Olivia made her decision, time seemed to slow. The officiant was mid-sentence, something about two lives joining as one, when she released Daniel's hands. His eyes widened in confusion as she leaned forward to whisper, "I'm sorry. I can't. There's something I need to handle." Before anyone could react, Olivia gathered the front of her gown in trembling hands and turned away from the altar. A collective gasp rippled through the chapel as she moved down the aisle. Not the triumphant newlywed exit she had rehearsed, but a hurried retreat. Daniel called her name once, the sound piercing to the murmurs that had erupted throughout the chapel. Olivia didn't look back. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she pushed through the heavy wooden doors into bright afternoon sun. The sudden quiet outside was jarring after the chaos she'd left behind. Birds chirped in nearby trees, oblivious to the human drama unfolding. Olivia moved quickly around the side of the chapel, seeking privacy before the inevitable flood of concerned family members followed. She didn't have to wait long before Theo appeared, looking both determined and apprehensive as he approached. "You had no right to come here," Olivia said, her voice low but fierce. "Today of all days." "I know," Theo acknowledged, maintaining a respectful distance. "But some things matter more than propriety. What could possibly justify ruining my wedding day? Our daughter." Two simple words that tilted Olivia's world on its axis. She stared at him, certain she had misheard. "What did you say?" "We have a daughter, Olivia. Her name is Lily. She's 5 years old." Olivia shook her head, backing away until she felt the rough stone wall of the chapel against her bare shoulders. "That's impossible. I had a miscarriage. You were pregnant with twins. One baby was lost, but the other survived. You put her up for adoption." The ground seemed to shift beneath her satin heels. Memories flooded back. The pain, the doctor's visits, the adoption papers. The tiny face she had memorized in those brief moments of holding her baby. "How do you know this?" she whispered, though part of her already understood. "Because Claire adopted her. My ex-wife is raising our biological daughter." Olivia's knees weakened. She slid down the wall to sit on the gravel path, heedless of her dress. The implications unfolded in her mind like dominoes falling, each revelation triggering another. "You've known all this time? You've been part of her life." Theo nodded, kneeling to meet her eyes. "As Uncle Theo. Claire has legal custody. The adoption was finalized before I learned the truth. I consulted lawyers, but challenging it would have meant a legal battle that would hurt everyone, especially Lily." "Why tell me now? Why not when you first discovered it? Or when you became my boss? Why wait until my wedding day?" "I tried to find the right moment. Then I received your wedding invitation. I realized I couldn't let you commit to a lifetime with Daniel without knowing the truth. He doesn't know about me, about us, does he?" Olivia shook her head slowly. "I never told him. He deserves to know who he's marrying. And you deserve to know about your daughter." Inside the chapel, confusion had given way to concern. Casey, Olivia's maid of honor, had followed her outside but stopped short when she saw the intense conversation happening. She returned to report that Olivia appeared to be speaking with someone from work. Daniel stood frozen at the altar, his best man's hand on his shoulder. His face reflected a complex mixture of concern, confusion, and the dawning realization that something fundamental had changed. Olivia's father moved toward the door, determined to check on his daughter, but was intercepted by his wife. "Give her a moment," she whispered. "Whatever this is, she needs to handle it her way." Outside, Olivia's mind raced through a kaleidoscope of emotions: anger at being kept in the dark, grief for the years lost, joy at discovering her child was alive, fear about what this meant for her future. "I want to see her," Olivia said finally, her voice stronger. "You will?" Theo promised. "Claire and I have discussed this possibility. She's a good person. Olivia, she loves Lily fiercely, but she's always known this day might come." "Does Lily know she's adopted?" "Yes, age appropriately. She knows her birth mother loved her enough to want the best for her. A side door opened, and Daniel emerged. He spotted them immediately, his expression tightening as he approached with measured steps. "Olivia?" The question contained multitudes. "Are you okay? What's happening? Who is this man?" Olivia rose unsteadily to her feet, Theo's hand briefly supporting her elbow before withdrawing. She looked between the two men, one representing the future she had planned, the other a past she never fully escaped. "Daniel," she began, her voice wavering. "This is Theodore Langston, my boss, and someone I need to talk with you about." Daniel's gaze shifted between them, recognition dawning in his eyes. "The relationship you mentioned once. Before we met, was it him?" Olivia nodded, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. "There's more, Daniel. So much more." Inside the chapel, 200 guests waited, their collective breath held. The fairy tale wedding had transformed into something entirely different, a moment of truth that would reshape multiple lives forever. Have you ever had a moment when truth collided with plans in spectacular fashion? A time when you had to choose between comfortable illusions and complicated realities? Share your story in the comments. And if you're finding value in these real-life relationship complexities, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that explore the messy, beautiful truth of human connections. News travels quickly in small towns. By sunset on what should have been her wedding day, variations of Olivia Harper's story had reached every corner of Cedar Grove. Some versions painted her as the victim, others as the villain. The truth, as always, was far more complex than gossip could capture. The Cedar Grove Gazette ran a discreet notice the following week. The families of Olivia Harper and Daniel Reed announced the cancellation of their wedding. The formal wording belied the dramatic reality, a reality that challenged the town's sensibilities and sparked conversations at dinner tables throughout the community. For 3 days, Olivia retreated to her parents' home, ignoring calls and messages that accumulated by the hour. Her mother fielded questions from concerned friends, while her father guarded the front door against well-meaning visitors. Inside, Olivia processed the earthquake that had shaken her carefully constructed life. Daniel, to his credit, showed remarkable grace. After their conversation outside the chapel, a raw, honest exchange that lasted nearly 2 hours, he returned to face the guests alone. "The wedding will not be proceeding today," he announced, his voice steady despite the circumstances. "I ask for privacy and compassion for both Olivia and myself as we navigate this unexpected turn." Later that week, he arrived at Olivia's parents' home with a box containing her belongings from their shared apartment. The conversation was painful but necessary. "I'm not angry," Daniel told her as they sat on the porch swing where they had once planned their honeymoon. "Disappointed, heartbroken, confused, yes, but not angry. You made the right decision, even if the timing was—" He paused, searching for the right word. "Catastrophic," Olivia offered with a sad smile. "Theatrical," he countered, the faintest hint of humor in his eyes. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered, the words inadequate but sincere. "I know, but we would have hurt each other much more by building a marriage on partial truths." They parted with an embrace that acknowledged both what they had shared and what they had lost. 2 weeks later, Olivia sat in a neutral location, a private room at the Cedar Grove Library, waiting to meet her daughter. Her mother had offered comfort support, but this was a moment Olivia needed to face alone. When the door opened, Olivia's breath caught. The little girl who entered beside Claire Langston was the perfect blend of her biological parents. Olivia's expressive eyes and heart-shaped face, Theo's serious expression and thoughtful gaze. "Lily," Claire said gently, "this is Ms. Harper. She's the special friend we talked about." The child studied Olivia with frank curiosity. "Do you like dinosaurs?" she asked finally, clutching a stuffed triceratops. Olivia laughed, tension breaking. "I do, especially triceratops. This is Trixie. She can be shy with new people." "I understand that," Olivia said softly. "Meeting new people can be scary." Claire observed their interaction with a complex mixture of emotions before joining them at the table. Over the next hour, Through simple conversations and a shared coloring book, the foundation for a new kind of relationship began to form. That first meeting led to others: park outings, museum visits, lunch at child-friendly restaurants. Claire, despite the unusual circumstances, proved to be an ally rather than an adversary. She has questions about where she comes from, Claire explained during one of their coffee meetings. Questions I can't answer. She deserves to know you, and you deserve to know her. Navigating this unprecedented family structure required professional help. A family therapist specializing in adoption issues guided them through the complexities of forming healthy boundaries and expectations. Theo participated separately at first, then gradually joined group sessions as the adults worked toward a unified approach to co-parenting. 6 months after the non-wedding, Olivia moved into a new apartment, donated her unused wedding dress to a charity, and requested a transfer to a different department at Brightwave, establishing necessary professional distance from Theo while maintaining their personal connection through Lily. Cedar Grove, initially scandalized, gradually adjusted to the unconventional family arrangement. The same neighbors who had whispered behind Olivia's back eventually noted her courage in making such a difficult choice. Better to face the truth before vows and after became the prevailing wisdom, often accompanied by knowing nods. Olivia's relationship with Daniel evolved from painful avoidance to cautious friendship when he began dating someone new the following year. Olivia felt genuine happiness for him. The most profound change, however, was within Olivia herself. The woman who had once built her life around careful planning and social expectations now embraced uncertainty with newfound confidence. Sometimes the most beautiful things in life come from our most difficult choices, she told a close friend over coffee, exactly 1 year after the chapel incident. I lost the future I thought I wanted, but I gained something I never knew to hope for. That something, a daughter's laugh, an expanding heart, and the knowledge that authenticity trumps perfection, proved worth every moment of pain that preceded it. 2 years after the wedding that wasn't, Cedar Grove hosted its annual summer festival. Families gathered on the town green. Children darted between game booths, and local businesses showcased their offerings under colorful tents. Near the ice cream stand, an unusual family group attracted subtle glances. Olivia sat on a bench beside Claire, both women watching as Theo pushed Lily on the swing set. The sight of them together, birth mother, adoptive mother, and biological father, had gradually become less remarkable to the townspeople, though no less extraordinary in its implications. Their journey held lessons that extended far beyond their personal circumstances. First was the power of honesty, however delayed or difficult. Had Theo remained silent at the wedding, Olivia would have married Daniel with half her heart permanently anchored in unexplored territory. Daniel would have committed to someone who carried significant secrets. Lily would have grown without knowing her birth mother. The truth, while initially devastating, created space for authentic connections that deception would have prevented. Second was a recognition that timing rarely feels perfect when revealing life-altering information. The chapel moment seemed catastrophic, yet any other time it might have created equally painful disruptions. Sometimes the when matters less than the what. Third was the understanding that family takes many forms. The traditional structures Olivia once clung to had expanded into something more complex, but equally valid. Lily now navigated the world with an abundance of love rather than a deficit. 3 parents who prioritized her well-being above their own comfort or pride. Perhaps most importantly, Olivia's story illustrated how disruption often precedes growth. The collapse of her wedding plans created space for something unexpected and precious to emerge from the rubble. What appeared as an ending became a beginning. I used to believe happiness came from following a specific path, Olivia confided to her journal on the anniversary of her non-wedding. Now I understand it comes from honoring truth, regardless of where it leads. Cedar Grove ultimately reframed its understanding of Olivia's actions. What some initially viewed as impulsive was eventually recognized as courageous. What seemed like failure revealed itself as integrity in its purest form. For anyone facing similar crossroads, moments when truth and comfort stand in opposition, Olivia's journey offers a guiding light. The short-term pain of honesty, however acute, rarely outweighs the long-term cost of living with deception. As Lily waved from the swing, her face bright with joy. The meaning of true courage became clear. Not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. If this story resonated with you, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you experienced moments when truth dramatically altered your life's direction? When have you chosen the harder path because your integrity demanded it? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if you appreciate these real-life stories with meaningful lessons, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We bring new relationship insights every week that might just help you navigate your own complicated, beautiful human connections. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this extraordinary story here on Soul Igniting Story. I truly appreciate you for taking the time to be with us, to open your heart, and to let these words spark something within your soul. Every story we share is crafted to inspire, to uplift, and to remind us all that love, hope, and resilience are alive in every corner of the world. If the story touched you, made you smile, or even brought a little spark of wonder to your day, I would be so grateful if you could show your support. Please give this video a like. It helps more souls discover these stories. Don't forget to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, feelings, or even your own experiences connected to the story. Your words make this community come alive. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next beautiful journey we'll be sharing together. Until next time, thank you again for being part of the Soul Igniting Story family, where every story lights a flame within.